So here we are, back in the kitchen again, with another episode of Dave's Dinners. I have to say, it's absolutely magnificent to see you again. And for dinner tonight, I am making a spinach, potato, pancetta, egg bake. I'm glad I got that right. So the ingredients for this evening's meal are as follows. We have a colander full of homegrown caterpillar munched spinach. We have a portion of potatoes, well, 2 portions of potatoes. We have an onion, we have half a bulb of garlic, which is a bit overkill, but we like the garlic. We've got some smoked pancetta, and we have 4 eggs over here. We're having 2 eggs per person. You can have 1 egg per person if you like, or you can have 10 eggs per person if you like. It doesn't matter. I've also got some smoked paprika and some flat leaf parsley, although this isn't really necessary. It's more to make it look nice at the end, but I like a bit of parsley. So as always, I like to do all of my prep first. We're going to start with the potatoes, and what you want to do is you want to cut this into chunks. I usually cut them lengthways like that, and then just kind of like chunky bits, kind of like that. Right, I've run out of room on my chopping board, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the potatoes into my saute pan, because they're going to be in there anyway. So I'll stick them all in there, otherwise I'm not going to have room to chop my onions up. Right, I'm doing garlic next. Always leave the onion till last, because it gets a bit emotional when you cut garlic up. So I always leave it to the end. Don't worry about using the same chopping board, it's fine. The only time I would use a different chopping board is if I was doing meat instead of vegetables, but I'm not, so it's okay. Right, garlic's done. I will be crushing it, but not just yet. I'm going to chop the onion up first. I tend to have the onions relatively chunky just because I like chunky onions, but you can have them quite fine if you want, or however you like it really. It really is up to you, but I quite like to have them reasonably chunky, so I'll cut it in half, and then I'll go 1, 2, 3, and then usually just 2 or 3 the other way as well. 1, 2, 3, sometimes I do it 4th, something like that. That's how I like it, so that's what we're going with. Right, so that's all the prep done, nice and easy. We're going to start cooking now, and the first thing we want to do is put some oil on these potatoes. A bit of oil on there, not too much, but a good couple of glugs. Get the heat on. And then these are going to take around about 10 to 15 minutes just to sort of cook in the pan. Just keep them moving. And we also want to preheat the oven as well, because we're going to be baking everything in the oven at the end. So this is a electric fan assisted. I'm going to stick it on about 180 degrees centigrade. Don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, because we don't do Fahrenheit over here. And while they're cooking, I'm going to cut open the pancetta and put the pancetta in the other pan. Whenever you're cooking with bacon or pancetta, you don't need to use oil, because it produces enough on its own. Now I'm not going to turn that on just yet, because that doesn't take quite as long to cook as the potatoes, so I'm going to keep the potatoes moving for about 5 minutes, and then I'll turn the pancetta on and get that going. Right, so that's been around about 5 minutes now. It's starting to stick to the bottom of the pan a little bit, but that's fine, just keep it moving. I'm going to turn the bacon on now, or the pancetta should I say. Not too high, just kind of like a medium heat. And then let that start to sizzle. Now you can put your onions into the pancetta whenever you want to. I tend to try and crisp up the pancetta slightly first, just because I like it a little bit crispy. But if you're not a big fan of crispy bacon or crispy pancetta, then just put your onions in straight away and cook it on a lower heat, and that'll be fine. You can see there how much oil the pancetta has created just on its own, so you definitely don't want to be adding any additional oil to that. But once you're happy with the cookiness of the pancetta, then just add your onions to it. And I think that's just about done for me, so Put the onions in. I'm going to hold back on the garlic though because I don't want to burn it. I just want to put the garlic in right at the end. Right, so now the potatoes have been on for around about 10 minutes. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the heat down slightly, and then I'm going to put a good sprinkling of smoked paprika in it, and then give it a quick stir around to try and coat the potatoes in the paprika. You don't have to be too worried about it. It will eventually cover it all, but you just want to give it a good covering. Just something like that. And then what you want to do next is get a nice dollop of butter and put that in the potatoes and let it sizzle slightly. The reason we're putting the butter in there is because we're going to put the spinach in, and the spinach needs to wilt down, and it won't do it if the pan is dry. So I put a little bit of butter in there and then put the spinach in. Hopefully there's no caterpillars in there, but I can't guarantee it. God, look how much that's gone down already. Right, the onions and pancetta are nearly ready, just how I like it. So I'm going to crush the garlic and drop that in there just for about a minute because I don't want it to burn. So you can drop the heat down in there, and then if you've got a garlic crusher, use it. Or if you've only got chopped garlic, then that's fine, but get it in there and then give that a little stir through. You should be able to really smell the garlic come through any second now, so you can see how much the paprika's distributed itself all over the potatoes now. It's starting to look good. Cool, I can really smell that garlic coming through. That's just about enough for me. Literally a minute is plenty. So take that off the heat, and then you want to put this into the potatoes and the spinach. And then you can take this off the heat as well and just give it a stir through to combine it all and mix everything up together. Once that's mixed up, you want to get an oven-proof dish, and then you want to put the whole mixture into the dish and then just spread this round so it's nice and even. And then because there's two of us having this, I'm going to make two sort of channels each side of the middle, and these are for the eggs to go in, and I want to keep them separate so it's easier to dish up once it's cooked. So this potato's annoying me, go over there. And then we're having 2 eggs each, so just put 2 eggs each side in the channels. So that is now ready for the oven. The whole thing is cooked apart from the eggs, so all you want to do now is just keep it in there long enough to cook the eggs. And I'm going to put it in there for about 20 minutes because from previous experience that's how long it takes for the eggs to bake quite nicely. So in the oven for 20 minutes, and that gives me enough time to do all the washing up as well, so happy days. So while that's in the oven, I'm going to cut up my parsley. So get yourself a clean knife and a clean chopping board. Yes, this is the same chopping board, but I've just washed it up, so it's fine. And then yeah, grab a bunch of parsley, and then you want to pick away the parsley from the stalks, because you don't really want the stalks because they're a bit too stalky. And then once you've separated it all, then just give it a rough chop. I haven't really got the best knife here, hence why I'm sort of slicing it rather than chopping it. That is probably chopped up enough for me, and that is just going to get sprinkled on the top. Right, it's been 20 minutes exactly, and that is how it's looking at the moment. You can see the eggs are well baked there, so looks pretty good, to be honest. Just need to plate it up and put some parsley on it. Oh, it's getting hot. Alright, just grab a pinch, sprinkle at the top. I think I might have gone a little bit OTT with the parsley, to be honest, because that's plenty. I'll put a bit more on mine. And there you have it, guys. Spinach, potato and pancetta egg bake with a bit of parsley sprinkled on the top. No marks of presentation again, but it's going to taste delicious. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and come back next week for another episode of Dave's Dinners. Thank you for watching, and good night.